Hello, everyone. This is Luis Concepcion from Strategic Profit Line Trading, coming to you with the plan of the week for week number 28. The following are the disclosures. Understand that this is for educational purposes only and not providing any investment advice. This information is not tailored to any individual, and everyone must understand their time horizon. Past performance does not guarantee future results, and all investment and trades involve risk, including the loss of your principal. As always, here's the agenda. I'll be covering the news, provide a market view on the four indices. We got 45 companies reporting earnings this week, so earnings are starting to pick up, and we're starting to pick up this Friday with banks. Here's our results for week 27, provided 12 zones. It was a slow week because of the July 4th, so we had half a day on market on Wednesday, and the market was closed on Thursday, so we went 1-0. Only entry that made was MasterCard, and then we had two Fast and Halliburton closing our zones on uh, by the end of Friday. I went ahead and I added MasterCard as it met entry and made profit. So brings our stocks trades to 40 and 28 on the year. Moving on to options, and I went in ahead added MasterCard as well if you took the trade in options, and we are 78 and 18 when it comes to our options trades. Moving into our news for the week, as you can see on Monday, we have no news that's going to provide volatility to the markets. Moving on to Tuesday, as you can see at 7 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, 30 minutes after the open, Jerome Powell is going to testify, so that will cause volatility in the market. So be mindful of his commentary. Other than that, there's nothing else affecting the U.S. markets on Tuesday in the evening. For those of you who trade futures and forex, the New Zealand dollar will be affected in the evening, so be cognizant of that. And then on Wednesday, Jerome Powell graces us with his presence once again and is testifying 2 days in a row. That's why they're giving us a day off on Monday. So be mindful of 30 minutes after the open, Jerome Powell might spike the markets here. That evening, for those of you trading futures and forex, again, the British pound will be affected, so be mindful of that for those of you who are looking at the British pound. Now, moving on to Thursday, we got three big reports that are going to pretty much our CPI reports that are going to be reported pre-market. So that might cause volatility and spikes in addition to the unemployment claim. So be mindful of that 30 minutes as soon as the open, because that's going to all happen pre-market. And lastly, on Friday, we have our core PPI and our PPI reports, and those also will happen pre-market. So we should be anticipating a lot of volatility this week. And then on Friday, of course, all our banks are going to reporting earnings, which is kind of interesting with all the reports we have coming out this week. So be mindful with your trades, be mindful with all that's going on. Moving into the chart, starting with the S&P 500, last week we went ahead and made an all-time high again, hitting 5570. With the first demand zone I have for you is going to be at 5541 and 5400. In the event we surpass that because of some volatility, the next level I have for you is 5358 to 5325. So be cognizant of these levels and anticipate a lot of volatility this week. Moving on to the NASDAQ, also crushing all-time highs, hit 2040. 407. No supply in the NASDAQ as well. So first level I have for you on the demand side is going to be 19,469 to 19,325. In the event of an overshoot that this level doesn't hold, as this level has already previously worked once, we have 1980 to 18,921. Moving on to the Dow Jones, as you can see, the Dow Jones has really done nothing. It's been moving sideways. On the supply side, I have for you 397.86 to 485. And on the demand side, we got 376.06 to 370.18. Moving on to the rut, what can I say? I've been saying it all year. The rut has been in the same rut as our levels have not changed. On the demand side, we got 1887.93 to 1847.64. And on the supply side, we got 2075 to 2138. Now, moving into earnings. First company I have for you is GBX. On the demand side, I have 43.21 to 41.99. This level has worked a couple of times. In the event of an overshoot, I got 39.63 to 38.07. On the supply side, we got 68.20 to 78.32. Next company I have for you is Helen of Troy. On the demand side, you got 83.37, 80.98. In the event of an overshoot, we got 67.41 to 60.86. And on the supply side, we got 133.82 to 139.92. Next company I have for you, SGH. On the demand side, 15.73 to 14.86. And on the supply side, 25.47 to 27.24. Next company is Cross. On the demand side, 48.74 to 37.80. And on the supply side, 82.42 to 91.17. Next company I have for you is SAR. On the demand side, 21.14 to 2014. And on the supply side, 25.44 to 27 even. Next company I have for you is Manu. On the demand side, 13.32 to 12.15. In the event of an overshoot, you got the 11.56 to 10.44. On the supply side, you got 21.04 to 21.99. Next company I got for you is WD-40. So WD-40, as you can see, this level has already started to work. However, be cognizant of this during the week. In the event it overshoots this during the week, the 212 to 207, we have another level here, 190 to 182. So aggressive, conservative, be mindful of that and be mindful of earnings this week. On the supply side, we got 254.74 to 262.78. Next company I have for you is PSMT, PriceSmart. On the demand side, you got 72.41 to 71.11. On the supply side, 94.56 to 98.83. Now, moving on to more familiar companies that you may be familiar with. First one we got this week is Pepsi. So Pepsi on the demand side, we got 158.60 to 154.91. And on the supply side, we got 183.41 to 187.51. Even though I'm not talking about it this week, so be mindful of what Pepsi does, because it might have an impact on Coca-Cola. First airlines this week, Delta Airlines. On the demand side, we got 34.45 to 32.47. And do we have supply for this market? I do not have a supply for this market right now. Next company, CAG. On the supply side, 32.34 to 33.68. And on the demand side, 22.49 to 20.20. Next company is VIST. On the demand side, 37.47 and 35.18. And that brings us to Friday, where we have all the banks. So first one, I'm going to start with JP Morgan. As you can see, this level has already worked once, and it has no supply. However, it had a sharp turn and a turnaround on Friday. So if this level holds again, we got 194.86 to 188.24. And then we have another level here at 179.93 to 178 even. That's going to do it for JP Morgan. Next company, Wells Fargo. So on Wells Fargo, supply level 63.98 to 66.35. And on the demand side, 52.03 to 51.11. Next bank is Citi. So real close to supply here. We got 65.81 to 67.52. And on the demand side, 45.68 to 44.26. So I usually don't do this. However, because we have so many banks reporting on Friday, I wanted to go ahead and cover the sector, which is XLF, which is all your banks. So on the no supply, so be mindful of that. There's no supply in the sector. So be careful about what you do with the individual stocks. And first demand zone I have for you is 39.63 to 39.32. And if the event of overshoot, you got 37.97 to 36.89. Just be mindful. Powell speaking this week again, so that's gonna have probably impact on interest rates and the banks. Last company I want to cover is Fast. I covered this last week, and if you're in the zone, just be mindful that they have earnings this week. So while it's in the zone, it has another one right here at 60.75 to 59.04. And on the supply side, we got 74.66 to 77.18. With that being said, that's going to do it for the charts this week. As always, here's my contact information. Feel free to follow me on social media. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to email me. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like button. Until next time, happy trading.